Welcome to London City Airport and welcome to the Aerobasque Robin DR401. Today we're going to be taking a look at Orbx True Earth GB South, and what better way to stress test the scenery than flying over central London, which is pretty much guaranteed to be the most dense area covered. Now, I've chosen the 401 because clearly it has very good visibility. Okay, I'm recording this on a system with a 6700K CPU and a 1070 graphics card. So it's a 2.5-year-old system. It's not cutting edge, but it's pretty solid. If you look, currently we are looking at about 19 to 21 FPS. As a comparison, on the ground at a custom airport in a pay-away aircraft, I will most likely get about 25 FPS. In the air, about 35 to 40, which is pretty solid. So what we're going to do today is we're going to fly west along the river, and then we're going to change the settings a little bit and fly back the way we came. So let's just take a look at the settings. If I can get the settings to open. As you can see, visual effects are on high HDR. I think that is really the... You can get away with a setting that's lower than that, but you start to get graphical effects that really reduce the quality of the experience. Number of world objects is maximum. Texture quality maximum. I did have some stutters at the higher level, and just reducing texture quality erase that. Reflection detail on medium, so that is a pretty solid setup. Okay, now we're going to, let me just set this up. We're going to be climbing to 2,000 feet, which I think is a pretty decent working altitude for the scenery. I think that's any lower than that, and I think that would be that wouldn't make much sense flying over central London. You're most likely going to be flying significantly higher than 2,000. So I think this is a good working example of how the scenery is going to look, and also the impact on frame rates. And as of course you can see in the top left where we are with frame rates. So all that said, let's get going. I am not massively familiar with the aircraft, so I don't know all the speeds. I'm just going to let it tell me when it wants to take off. Usually it's a bit bouncy on takeoff. It kind of wants to take off, then come back down again. So it's trying to get a little bit coordinated at least at the wings level. So for 400 feet and switch to autopilot. Let's keep it at 10 degrees fine. We've got so much rudder there. Let's engage the autopilot, make life easy. So there you have it. I'm not at all a fan of that water texture. I'm sure there are better water textures out there. Maybe this is a good reminder that I should be looking to replace that and coming over the old white elephant, which is the Millennium Dome. Build something for the year 2000 and then figure out what to do with it afterwards. So here we are, we're below 1,000 feet, so you can see the limitations of the scenery and pick out issues with it. Now, of course, you're looking at the frame rate, and sometimes it's dropping down to 17, going back up to 19. See, there's an awful lot going on. You can see what I mean by how dense the scenery is. And notice we get little stutters here and there at this sort of frame rate. I don't mind being at 25. Any lower than about 22, 23, certainly below 20 you start noticing issues. It's nice to see more traffic though. I wish traffic kind of turned around corners and changed direction a little bit more smoothly. Okay, we're coming over central London here. Gherkin, it's called a walkie-talkie. Is that the Shard ahead? And 20, well, around 20, 17 to 20, it seems to fluctuate. There's a lot of detail, significant amount of traffic on the roads. As I look around, a little bit of stutters here and there. But we are getting a lot of really nice detail. Seeing a really solid stutter there. Nice amount of traffic down there. And of course you're going to get that when you increase detail up to maximum. Now, you might be asking, does it make a huge difference? Does it make a big enough difference to justify the price? I have to say, using Orfo when practicing landings in southern France, going from airport to airport, sometimes you'll come up to approaches where you have trees painted on the landscape. The actual autogen trees are very sparse, just little groups here and there, and it really does look terrible on approach. I don't think yet I've seen that happen with True Earth. Where you see a tree, you actually get a tree. And that makes a huge difference. It's so much more believable. And even with that amount of detail, that frame rate isn't terrible. If you can put up with the stutters that happen very occasionally. Still flying along the river here. See, you get these little stutters when looking around. You're asking it to do a lot, I suppose. It feels like a living environment. It feels like a real city where things are happening. The water looks so much better now that we're a little bit higher. It's always the same with flight sims. The lower you get, the worse they look. It's not all that difficult to look believable when you're at higher altitudes. But it's when you get into 2,000, 1,000, that's when it becomes a real challenge. But that looks really believable. It's good to see that tree coverage. Not just the buildings, but also the trees. The frame rate's holding about 20 FPS. Lots of trees coming up. Fewer buildings. Getting out of central London. See frame rate's just picking up a little bit. But you get the idea. This is at maximum detail, and doesn't that look really, really good? I hope you'll agree, that looks really, really good. Frame rates again, low 20s. It's genuinely pretty solid. Now if you had 20 FPS everywhere, that would be an issue, but in the more dense areas where you have more stuff going on, it's not too bad. Okay, that done. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to change the detail down to high, and we will turn around and go in the opposite direction. And we're back with high detail settings. So we've gained a little bit of performance. It's about 23, 24 FPS. Now this is the minimum that I would really be looking at with True Earth. When you go below high, you'll really start to notice missing buildings. And I think at that point, I'm not sure that it's worth using it. You lose a lot of the graphical effect. If you're looking at videos and screenshots and thinking, I would like my scenery to look like that, if you can't run it at high, at reasonable frame rates, then I don't really think that it's worth it. You have to bear that in mind. Maximum object detail over London for me is just about bearable. High is perfectly fine. Still getting odd stutters here and there. That's, you know, looking around, I suppose. This is usable for me. And if I was going to be doing a lot of flying around London, I would probably use high settings. So 25, 26. That's pretty solid. Again, you've got some good density of trees, but you do start to notice that one or two buildings start to drop out. But it's perfectly usable. Okay, looking at the, let's just move that. Oh, crikey. Want to zoom in? Let's just move across a little bit and follow the river. Now, the system requirements are one part of running this software. There are other considerations. The download for GB South is 26 gigs, which is a lot itself, but the installation size is about 110, 115 gigs. Now, that can be an issue, especially if you have X-Plane on an SSD and you're short of space on the SSD. The way around that is to use a symbolic link, specifically a junction is the type that you need, and then you can put the scenery on a completely different hard drive. Put it on a mechanical hard drive rather than an SSD. Let's just change this a little bit. Let's go. Let's head east. And that is really an important thing to do if you are running short of disk space. An SSD space is particularly valuable. I find when installing it, and I think a few people have had this issue, I had a couple of issues installing it. The first was that when I was trying to download the installation automatically, it wouldn't complete, it would just hang. The solution to that was to manually download the zip file, install from the zip, and then to verify the installation. and just keep on verifying the installation until it stopped downloading files. The way it worked for me, I did a manual download from the zip, verified the installation and verified it again, and then verified it a third time. It was only on the third time that I had all the files downloaded, so bear that in mind. It's not a simple task to get this. Passing through to London City, we're passing. It takes a little bit of time, it's a big installation, and you're going to have to make sure that you've got all the files on your hard drive. 24-25 FPS, that's again perfectly usable. It's a nice balance in terms of performance. You're getting the detail and you're getting those few extra frames, which can make all the difference. And I don't even think it's the frame rate that matters so much as avoiding stutters. Still getting some stutters looking around, but it does tend to happen, I think, regardless. I'm asking it's going to do a lot to smoothly pan around at these higher settings. But that extra detail and that extra fidelity is really worth it in the end. But again, you have to make sure that you have a system that is going to be able to cope with it. And of course there's a lot of work that's gone into it, so in my opinion it is worth the investment in the price, and also worth the investment in actually taking time to get the installation right. Now hopefully we're going to get a lot more something like this from Orbx. Hopefully we're going to get a lot more airports. I really do like the art style that they use. I've seen criticism of their scenery that it's too dark. I'm not too sure about that. To me it's believable, and that is what is most important. Even with high settings, quite substantial amounts of road traffic. It's always good to see trains, and you get some quite lengthy trains depicted as well, which is good. Again, it's a living, breathing environment. Solid frame rates. So that is Orbx GB South over some of the most demanding terrain that you are likely to come across using it. And hope you enjoyed that, and hope you found that informative and useful. Just got a little bit of stuttering there, just looking around. And as always, feel free to like, comment and subscribe.